Welcome into the Fantasy Foolery podcast, formerly known as the No Fool Leagues podcast. We had to rebrand after the last podcast scandal, and I want to formally apologize to the SWAA, Sister Wives of America Association. I did not mean any offense by my last podcast comment, and on that note, I'm excited to kick this off. How are you fools doing?
I'm sure you are excited to kick this off since we briefly considered a suspension from the show for you. However, we did not, so glad to still have you here. I'm doing good though. I kind of had to console Chris a little bit. He was pretty sad when Burrow got hurt. There was kind of some. I'm not sure, and that's all he has, as he said on the last podcast. He's 27, no prospects except for Burrow and Mahomes, and then he dropped just to Mahomes briefly. It's pretty tough on him. So, but other than that, I've been doing good.
Been doing really good too, Anthony. I think you got to apologize to the Washington football team Commanders fan base and all of the other people who are offended by the previous name as well. You had quite a few slip-ups there.
Although there's a petition going out to rename them the Redskins.
I saw that.
Really?
I got to rebrand everything.
Well, they should have. Their owner should sign an apology letter to them. Caddy, how are you doing?
Doing good. Just did a draft with my work. It was by round 8. I think 4 teams had kickers. So, yeah, it was, let's just say it was a good draft. My team is looking good.
How much money do you have fitting into that?
It was $10 a person. So I have some money to win here. It was for fun. I mean, I was helping people and stuff, but no, I'm doing good. Life's good over here, and just trying to recover from that last podcast. I mean, those scandals, it spills over. I've been getting some calls, some death threats and stuff. Nothing crazy.
I'm sure.
Well, we're also really glad. I definitely feel more comfortable knowing that Kenny is an actual person now that we have photographic proof.
I'm a real person. And I actually thought all of you guys might have been fake. Ben was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to pay you guys to be my friends and then do this with me. So
that is basically what happens, He basically slips Anthony and I at 20 each time he shows up, but
It's hard to believe that I left California for people. Shocking.
That sounds about right. So let's get right into this here, guys. We wanted to review the latest trade between me and Nathaniel. So this was that big trade that went down. I traded Nathaniel, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, C.J. Stroud, and a 2024 second-round pick. I received DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Fields, and Drake London. You know that thing where you guys go to the store and you're looking at something and you buy it and you're like, you go home and you're like, oh man, you got that buyer's remorse? Well, I had the exact opposite. I had buyer's rejoice, man. Holy cow, have them excited. So I started reviewing some games of Phil's, and I rewatched the Cowboys-Bears game, and that guy torched us. And I'm not going to say he could be Vic 2.0, but I really think this guy could be really, really good. He has different throwing options. He can throw the ball from different platforms. They weren't throwing anything deep, but he was making reads and he was making their correct passes. And with the new weapons they brought in and the organization, GM and coach decided to bypass the first pick, trade down, and bring in more stuff, which means they believe in him. And I think I believe in him too. Now I didn't give away pennies for him, but I was looking at London, and he looks really good too. But man, Ritter looks horrible too. So I don't know what you guys want to say to that, but that's kind of, if London had Rodgers with him, I think he'd have the same hype as Wilson. The last 4 games of last year, he was on pace for about 100 receptions. I know it's a small sample size, but those were the Ritter, and he averaged about 6 to 8 targets a game. And I think that would be helpful for him. And if he has those a game, I think he can have a good second-year season too.
Well, I mean, to your point about Fields being big, hopefully he stays away from the dog fighting and what have you. But on the field, I mean, I can see that. I know in our redraft league, in Andrew's redraft league, I started out, I drafted him, and then he had a terrible first 4 weeks, and I traded him, and then he absolutely just demolished the rest of the season, and I was just sitting there quietly weeping in the corners. I finished in last place. So I can definitely see the hype with Fields. I think Hopkins was a good pickup for you. Again, we talked about that last podcast, but I think he's going to be, obviously got a massive target share. Tannehill is solid, if not spectacular, but he'll be able to get him the ball. I think that's a good one. Your points about London, I mean, at the end of the day, he does have Ritter, is the problem, right? Like, yeah, you make an argument all you want for he'd have all this hype if he had Rodgers, but he doesn't have Rodgers, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But overall, I mean, I think this was I can definitely see the rationale for Nate making this trade for sure. I think if I was having to choose between these two packages, I'd take what Nate got. But again, I can definitely see your argument for Fields and Hopkins for sure.
I was shocked when this went through because of how much you gave up to get Garrett Wilson for me. I was really amazed that not only did he get Garrett Wilson from you for Fields, you got a second-round pick, your first-round pick from this last draft, and A.J. Brown, who's a top 5 dynasty asset. I was just really amazed the amount of value that he got for Fields. And Fields is a great get. If you were going to redraft our dynasty league, he would be a first-rounder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a Superflex league. He's got all the running ability, but at the same time, that guy was so banged up by the end of the season because of how much he used his legs that you got to be worried that he's going to be so up and down like Lamar Jackson has been. And you just gave up 2 top 10 wide receivers, which is dynasty gold, even in a Superflex league.
Yeah, no, I get that. I got some counters to that, but I'll let Kenny go first.
Yeah, I think it was the trade's tough because it depends on your feelings on Fields, I think, ultimately. And we have to be clear, we're not in a super flex. We're in a super duper flex with
Right now.
3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think people realize the value of quarterbacks, and I don't think I do either in our league. Like, having 3 starting quarterbacks is outrageous amount of production. And for this year alone, great trade. Hopkins is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's underrated. He's going to be getting 8 to 10 targets a game. Tannehill sustained Brown as a top 10 wide receiver, so I think you're going to see some good numbers from him. I actually am with you on London. That dude looks good when he plays on the football field. Ritter, on the other hand, like, what are they going to do? Go back to Mariota? Like, that's the concern. So,
Is he even on the team? He's not on the team anymore.
no, he's not.
Did he get cut? Yeah.
He was
Yeah, he
busy
got
doing
cut.
his new
It's,
TV show.
Quit.
Heineke.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he might retire or something, it sounds like. I don't know. Anyways, but I do, man, Garrett Wilson's hard for me. I think he's good. I mean, I think he's going to be awesome. But at the same time, like, I think the trade was reasonably fair depending, because you value Fields so high. So I was kind of like, yeah, I thought it was fair. I personally would have taken Brown and Wilson over London and Hopkins almost even combined just because of their talent alone. And so I think it ended up, in my thoughts, a little bit towards Nathan, but I think it could easily swap over. If London does kick into gear and gets 8 to 10 targets a game as well and can put up some catches and even 6 and 7 catches, he's good enough to take that and to put some real numbers up. I mean, yeah, I'm like 50-50, but I guess I'm maybe leaning a little more towards Nathan's side. But Fields, man, if he can throw the ball, that's all he's got to do. Throw the ball, and he will be awesome.
He's got more weapons this year. He's going to be comfortable in his offense. I think your point about London is sound. I traded him away to Nate, and I really liked his prospect of having a bigger year this year than he did last year. And last year was great. And he's got the draft capital that the Falcons are going to invest in him. If Ritter doesn't work out, then, they're going to have a really good shot at a good rookie quarterback, and they're going to fire their head coach because he's run crazy and not using their weapons. Or it works out.
Yeah, so for Wilson, for me, I realized that the Jets brought in all of Aaron Rodgers' homies. And Randall Cobb has to be an all the coattail team. Like, him and Tristan Thompson, man, must be hanging out just thinking, we are the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Keep getting your paychecks. But they also brought in Lazard for 4 years, $44 million, 22 is a guaranteed.
He's
And
a
he's a
one-trick
big
pony.
touchdown guy.
He's a one-trick pony.
But
He runs
touchdown.
straight and he runs fast.
But he gets touchdowns, man.
And he runs
He's
touch-
going to take those.
Exactly.
Production.
I actually am lower on Wilson. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, who may not even look. I mean, he might not even be good this next year. Like he could be on the decline, and then you have some throws going to Lazard, and then you have to there's got to be some distribution. You have Hall on the field. If they add Dalvin, he's gonna have to get targets. Like, I'm not saying Wilson ain't just. I mean, the dude's incredible, but he might be a little overrated for this year. I think his talent isn't, but I think just for fantasy wise.
Yeah, I think you gotta look at in the lens of dynasty. Like, he's on track to be on that level of Chase and Jefferson.
But I think we're all trying to win this year, besides Matt. Because, I mean, you get a...
That's a great point.
And he is winning every year from now on.
You are going to feel like... it's going to be worth more than just one, I think. Because everybody is going for it.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the points that I thought to myself, like, Fields could be great, and I'm going to take my shot. And I slightly had too many Eagles problem. And I was trying to keep them down low. And I don't want to say get rid of A.J. Brown, but I think decreasing the amount of Eagles on my team helped give me better balance on my team also.
Spoken like a true Cowboys fan.
I know, that's true. It's hard. It is real hard to get those Eagles on my team.
I didn't want to drop Bijan because I'm the Saints fan. How hard was it to make that happen? Was it a pretty quick negotiation process?
It was Nathaniel. Just keep harassing me. I was on vacation and camping, and I was like, man, I can't be dealing with this right now. And he kept sending texting messages and kept doing different things. And once he threw in London, and I kind of started looking at it a little bit more deeply, and I realized the value Billets could have for my team and the amount of good receivers I still have on my team, I decided that it was probably the best interest to my team to make the deal, especially with the year that we're in now. Because if Fields hits, he could be super, super valuable, like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson type hit value.
He has the talent to finish quarterback one, I would argue. I mean, he was headed that direction almost, but he just doesn't throw the ball.
So he's definitely in the tier 2. I put him there.
Exactly. So if I have Kupp as if I go right and Kupp hits number 1 as wide receiver and Fields hits number 1 as quarterback, my team will have a better shot of winning it all. All right. Now let's do what everybody's been waiting for. The 2023 draft lottery for the Dungeons and Keepers League. We will draw names from a bowl. We'll have everybody's name in the bowl. We'll pick it up. We'll start from pick 12 and go down to pick 1. Remember, there is a third round reversal in the draft. So this helps not favor the early picks as much, so value goes to late round picks. So when we hit the third round, instead of it going straight to for the first pick of the number 1 pick overall, it's going to go for the first pick of the third round to the number 12 team. And so it reverses, and then it continues a snake after that. Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah, I think so. So it goes 1 through 12, 12 through 1, and then 12 through 1 again, and then 1 through 12.
Exactly.
12 through 1,
Exactly.
Like a normal snake.
All right, so we'll start the pick. This is for pick 12. And Matt, drum roll.
All right, the 12th pick
12th pick.
of the 2023 Dungeons and Keepers League is Matt, unfortunately. That would be me. I picked
Well,
poorly.
we know we're not.
What a poor decision. Goodness.
We know we're not.
I think we meant to start with first pick. All right.
Well, I think that's going to be beneficial for you in
That is true, because I'll get the first pick of the
First pick
third
of the
round,
round
which is what everybody wants, is the first pick of the third round, right?
That's the gold.
All right, the 11th pick of the Dungeons and Keepers League goes to Kenny. So basically, we're just picking all of the podcast people here for the worst.
Well, you know we
positions.
didn't rig it.
All right. All right. The 10th pick goes to Renfro. That would be number 10. Congratulations, Renfro. All right, pick number 9. The coveted number 9 pick goes to Mike Smith.
Is that actually like the best draft position?
No, I was being facetious with the coveted number 9. I have no idea what the best spot is in this draft. I have no idea.
Pick 5. I think pick 5 would be good.
Maybe. Okay. What are we on? Pick number 8? We'll go to Zach. Congratulations, Zach. Sitting at number 8. All right. Rolling on. Pick number 7 of our draft goes to Ben.
I knew it was going to be there. Right in the middle.
Ben's apparently a prophet, knows exactly where he's going to be.
Spiritual gifting.
Spiritual gifting. What do we got? Pick number 6 goes to Michael Spinello. Come on down. Do we have him in the green room? All right. Pick number 5 will be Nathaniel.
Anthony's in the top 4.
I know.
Top 4, man. I won't be. That's what I won't be 4 before.
Pick number 4.
Yes,
Anthony. Man, this guy.
Anthony is this
Oh,
draft.
man. I don't know how he rigged it. The ball's sitting in my lap, but somehow. All right, the 3rd pick of our draft this year goes to Julian. Oh, Jules. All right, our top 2 coming down to the wire. We have a drum roll. I'm going to announce, I'm going to pull. It's more fun if I pull the number 1 pick here. So I'm going to pull for number 1, and then the other person will be number 2, because it's more fun if I'm pulling for number 1.
Okay.
So our number 1 pick in the draft this year goes to Andrew.
Oh.
And he is sitting at number 1. He has the right to draft any defense that he wants. Just kidding, we don't have defense in this league. And then our number 2 pick, therefore, is Jude. Congratulations to Jude, coming in number 2.
All right.
I'm picking whoever. So there you go. Our 2023 draft lottery is set. Kenny and I are going to try to do our work from the back of the first round. If anybody wants to leave Justin Jefferson to pick 12, that would be great.
I'm sure he'll be there for you, Matt.
Here's how
With that, so we've had a lot of trades, a lot of transactions, drafts that have gone over this offseason. A lot of teams have gotten better. Maybe some got worse. So we're going to go review all the different trades and go through different teams and see who got better and worse. We'll do some computer versus committee today.
Ben went through, did a lot of work typing out a whole spreadsheet and ranking based on what app is it, Ben?
It's the Dynasty Nerds app.
Dynasty Nerds app. There we go.
Not a sponsor, but could be.
Oh man, one of these days. I guess I shouldn't say their name because that's free advertising, right? We need them to pay us before we can say their name. So Ben went through, made a spreadsheet. It's got our points for before our 2022 roster, our 2023 roster, and our kind of net change there. And yeah, so we'll kind of see how that lines up with our personal thoughts. So I think it'd be good to kind of just start off initially with who we thought individually. So Ken, who did you think kind of won and lost the offseason, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think you won. I think everyone agrees. I think you took nothing and then created something out of it. It was quite impressive, actually. And I'm like, how does he keep getting more draft picks? This is insane. But you actually played the field so well because you knew these guys were just like, hey, Chris was like, I don't care what a first rounder is. I'll go get, Zay Jones for 3 first rounders. And I'm like, dude, this is insane. there was trades people made it. I was like, I would have given a better player for half of that. But so I think you were the winner. And then I did put Jeff. I think when he had Joe Burrow, I was like, ooh, this is good. I think he actually has a pretty solid team. And I think once he transitioned away from him, I was like, oh man, I think that was what did it for me. But I don't know. I was looking and I was like, I actually wasn't really I think everyone balanced their teams very well with what they had. Because I was trying to go through and go man, who didn't do well? I was like, people kind of just balanced out their teams to get ready for the 5th year or so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where this ranking system is going to show some flaws, is that we are kind of gunning for a quell here, right? And so the winners of this offseason, based off of this dynasty value chart, is going to be different than our own minds for that reason. This dynasty value system is set up for a Superflex dynasty league that's going on forever, and so there's going to be a lot more value towards younger guys, and so.
Yeah, Anthony, what about you?
I think a winner was Matt. I don't want to be a broken record here, but looking at your team before, okay, I don't want to go in on Fred, but you had nothing. Okay, man. You got 18 first-round picks from Jimmy G, Daniel Jones, Melvin Gordon. I mean, you had Breece Hall, but that was like your best asset, and he was hurt. And you somehow came out and looked really good. Now, you're not going to win this year, but the second quill, you're going to be really tough if you hit on some of those draft picks. And so,
For sure.
I know it's looking glim. It's going to be a rough year for you. You're going to be trying to eke out anything you can, but you're
I've already turned off notifications for the season. I'm basically done, right? Like I'm not going to check back next draft season.
You definitely. You're just looking at the draft capital rating that this system gave you. You have 3 times more draft capital than anybody on the league. Than the next highest person, I should say. You're set for quite a while in draft picks. I think you definitely won the offseason as well. I gave the loser to Chris or Anthony. Anthony took a hit, giving up Herbert. I think that was a really tough. He's got Fields now, but I think that Anthony's the loser of the offseason. Sorry, Anthony, it's easier to take shots at Chris when he's not seeing
No, I'll take it. Chris said he was hurt over our last podcast, so give him some breaks here.
For myself, I thought I'm not going to talk about myself. I will concur with you guys. I think I did a pretty good job picking up first round picks. But I think Ben did a really good job. He obviously had this pick, and he took his top 3 picks, which will help his roster down the line, and he still got picks for next year as well. I think he turned some of his other pieces. I think he's going to be competitive this year. Which is maybe even a year earlier than he initially thought. So I think he's going to be competitive this year, and then next year he's got more picks. So I think that was a good work from him this off season. And then Chris is an interesting one. I don't know. I think he hurt himself a little bit long term, but I think he really went all in on the 3 quarterbacks for this year, and that might be really what does it for him this year. That could be. So I don't know. Long term, I think maybe it's a little bit tougher, but for this year at least, I think that could end up being a big thing for him. And then who knows, when we go down, we lose the Superflex, there's a 2 quarterback league. Maybe he can flip one of his other quarterbacks for some other good pieces as well. So I don't know. I think that was solid work, even though he kind of hurt himself in some other areas. All right, so that was kind of our our individual thoughts there. Let's see kind of what the computer said. So do we want to start with biggest winner or biggest loser based on the computer? What do we think?
I'll start with biggest loser. I think it's going to be me.
Biggest loser. Anthony called it. He's on the money. So computer had him at 49,246 points in 2022. Now he's at 36,699 points. For those who do math in your head, it's negative 12,448 points. Really, the only place that he picked up value this year was in his running backs. That was the only spot that the computer had him gaining more. Everything else he dropped off. He dropped off really substantially in his wide receivers. That was a big one. So that really hurt him. So he is our biggest loser based on the computer. I feel like that deserves a 1-minute ice bath or something.
How do I drop off at a cup? Well, I'll win and then I'll prove this thing wrong.
Well, it's because you gave up Brown, Metcalf, or Brown and Higgins, Samuel,
You gave up a lot.
Cooper, Mike Williams.
Yeah, I guess.
So, all right, our second biggest loser of the offseason based on the computer is Chris. It did not love his shift from Mahomes, Lawrence, Fields, and White to Mahomes, Lawrence, and Burrow. He was basically even. It was like a 130-point difference was all. That was very, very even. He had a minor increase in his wide receivers, but overall he just, his biggest drop-off was in running backs according to the computer, and so he was our second biggest loser of the offseason. Third this year I started off with a whopping 28,861 points in 2022 value, which was like basically half of anybody else. So it was great. And then, according to the computer, I dropped pretty substantially. I don't know. Ben, actually, your math, like, I don't know, the spreadsheet math is wrong because it has me dropping 15,887, which is more than the minus 7050 that's in here. I don't know what happened with the math. Anyways, according to this, I dropped minus 7,000 points. I'm gonna take umbrage at that, but it's okay. We'll I don't know. I guess I can argue.
Yeah, that's more like 12,974.
Yeah, exactly.
Excel's never been a strand suit. That's why I went to be in the medical field.
So technically, according to the computer, I was the biggest loser of the off season after Ben corrected the formula. Minus 12,974, which outdid Anthony's. I will take umbrage at that. This thing does not value draft picks very
Well,
highly.
you gotta think about too. Future draft picks only increase in value as you get closer to the drafts.
It's true. That is
So
true.
you got a draft pick that might be worth 800 points in the system right now, but when it becomes the 1/1 of 2024, it's gonna be worth 1,800 points.
Sure.
You know, so
So, anyways, that's that. I don't know. This is a dumb exercise. Who suggested that we do this?
everybody hates how computers plan out draft picks. Either how it works for you or it doesn't.
So my biggest drop off, according to the computer, was my running backs, which I think is fair. I mean, I got rid of Pollard and Brees Hall, and I picked up 3 rookies
And Penny.
So yeah, I think that's a fair characterization. My wide receivers increased, so that was good. Yeah, I had Gallup. I traded him away, and then I traded back for him. So that's
Might be good.
So that was that. After me was, if I can scroll around on this thing, Nate came in. He was our first one that improved from last year to this year. Although, again, man, Ben, you weren't kidding about the spreadsheets, man, because that math don't add up either. But he did improve. Man, just do equals and like click the second one and then do minus the first one. It's like
1488. Sorry, man.
It's okay. We're working through some technical difficulties with our Excel spreadsheets. But Nate was our next one. He went up by like 1,500 points, basically just under. His biggest increase was in his wide receivers. According to the computer, he went from 15.7 to 23.4 essentially. So he did some good work on that. After Nate was Jeff is on here as our, I don't know, I've lost count of where we're at. Middle of the pack somewhere. Congratulations, Jeff. His biggest increase, it looks like, was quarterback, going from Dak, Brady, Cousins, Minshew, to now Dak, Carr, Goff, Stafford, and Purdy. So he increased there. Although, Ben, does this...
I know why the numbers are off. Because I didn't add the draft pick value to the total value up top there.
Oh, gotcha.
So I did it later. So Matt, you are actually doing okay.
I am doing okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. See, look at that. I went from doing, like, poorly to, like, doing really poorly. So now I'm doing okay. I don't know what concept. Okay. So Jeff improved his quarterbacks, his quarterback situation. Good work there. Kind of dropped off on the running backs a little bit, according to the computer, and then also on his wide receivers, he dropped off a bit. But overall, he ended up coming out not too poorly. And then after that is Andrew. So the computer had him gaining about 6,900 points in value. His quarterback situation, he almost completely overhauled, and it ended up almost identical in points. So it was much ado about nothing, as the saying goes. He improved his running backs. He improved his wide receivers in point value. He, I think, is the one that I see that has the most red, which means that he added the most. Maybe Nate. Nate had a ton.
Definitely wasn't Chris.
It was definitely not Chris. Chris had like 4. No, he had like 6. Chris had very little. And his like 1 draft pick that he had. So he's 4th rounder. We were talking the other day. Chris is going to be, I think, 31 by the time he gets a 1st round pick. So that's a ways down the line. Yeah.
We'll just trade that away.
I really like what Andrew added there. Added Eckler, Chubb, and Jacobs at running back. Ridley, Cooper, Godwin stand out on wide receiver. I think those are really good additions to make him a really big contender.
Yeah. After that is our very own Kenny, coming in about 7,300 point increase. His biggest jump was in quarterbacks, going from Huntley, Watson, Wilson, and Murray to Watson, Tua, Daniel Jones, Murray, and Levis. He is that guy, as he said in the previous podcast. I picked Levis, but he hasn't. He also has Josh Downs, which contributed to his increase in wide receivers, I'm sure. I'm kidding. But yeah, good work from Kenny overall. He improved in basically everything except for running backs, according to the computer. Dropped off a little bit in his running backs, but good work. And then our winner of the offseason, according to the computer, feels a little shaky since he was the one that made the spreadsheet, is Ben. So Ben says he came up 18,500 points. So for reference, the next highest was 7,300. And Ben was sitting at 18,550. I feel like he's just in there just typing numbers. You know, he's like, yeah, this looks good. So he had a big increase in quarterbacks, had a massive increase in his running backs, which, I mean, that makes sense, obviously. Bijan and Gibbs dropped a little bit in his wide receivers, but not a ton. And then, you know, he's got some good draft capital, too. So he was our biggest winner of the off-season. Ben, you haven't fixed my numbers yet. What are my numbers? Fix my numbers.
Matt wants his numbers fixed, man.
I really do.
There you go.
Okay, he wants the fake power rankings for fake football.
There it is. There it is. Okay, I'm back up off of the negative 12,000 range. Anthony is officially the biggest loser. That's a big deal.
I'm the biggest
not
loser.
Me.
It's me. I don't agree with this, but it's okay.
Can I just say, if I don't stinking win this year, I have almost 80,000 points on whatever this system is. If I don't win, I just quit. Like, no one's even close. I just quit. This is it. I put it's all in. I'm all in.
Yeah, every metric it has you just top tier.
Oh, man.
They have a bar graph with this app, and Kenny's bar is just so much higher than everybody else's.
David and Goliath, man. David and Goliath.
Yeah.
Ben's good. Watch Matt doing this thing.
No, no, it's funny because I'm actually one of the things that I did with my team when I was going through. I have obviously I've got like so many rookies and so many wide receivers and what have you, but I'm planning on starting Taysom Hill at tight end because he's going to be garbage, but he's going to have that one week that he throws for like 2 touchdowns and he runs for 1 and he like has like 6 catches. And that's the week I want to be playing Kenny. And I just want to beat Kenny because I want Taysom Hill to go for like, 75 points, and I beat Kenny by like 1 point. And that'll be the highlight of my year. So, that's kind of.
Dude, the year that I won, I had a perfect season.
I know.
I forgot. And then I remember the next 2 years, I had like most points for and like came in like 5th.
But yeah, that is literally the only reason I still have Taysom Hill on my roster. It's just for that. Just for that cause. We're just.
That's for the Kenny. That's for Kenny game.
Just gotta keep him in the starting position.
That's all he's doing. He's just sitting in the starting position. I'm basically treating it like best ball, right? He's just in there, and whenever he has his boom week, then I'm good to go. So, but yeah, so that'll do it for our computer versus committee off-season rankings. I will say I disagree with the computer when it comes to my rankings. Anthony, it nailed. Just kidding.
That's good. So I'll take it this time.
I really hope it's right because I still own Anthony's pick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. True. I feel very confident. Now, it could be just me, but I feel good this year, so we'll see how it goes. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm going to have fun rooting for Fields, though. I really am.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's confident this year.
Everybody is. Right now, everybody's confident.
Yeah. Everybody's undefeated.
Until I play Kenny. All right. Well, that's the end of this podcast. We had a lot of fun doing this, so we'll see you next time. Everybody stay foolish.